Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of From Dina's Desk. I am Dina Bilbrew, your career and life coach, and I am here live every Tuesday with another topic that can help you elevate in your career. So please let people know, please be sure to share and let people know that Dina is live every Tuesday, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on LinkedIn Live, right here on Facebook Live, coming to you with another topic that can help you. And if there are ever any topics that you are interested in, if there's anything that you are concerned about or dealing with in your career and you'd like for me to talk about it on live, please don't hesitate to let me know. Please don't hesitate to let me know. Send me a DM, type it in the comment section and let me know that this is a topic that you'd like to see me go live about. And please make sure you are sharing. Let other people know that we are here 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time each week on Tuesdays. And so this week is going to be a topic about 7 recommendation letter frequently asked questions. 7 recommendation letter frequently asked questions. And I am talking about this topic because as a career coach, I'm asked a number of questions. I'm always talking with people and they're always having questions about best practices. What are the best practices for recommendation letters? Do we need recommendation letters? What should be in them? When do I submit them? And all of those things. So we are going to talk about that today. We are going to talk about 7 recommendation letter frequently asked questions. So let's just get started. So the first question is what I've already mentioned. Are recommendation letters really necessary? And I would say absolutely yes. Recommendation letters are absolutely necessary. And they are necessary because they can give you an extra boost. They can give you an extra boost if you need it. They can give you an extra boost, and if you need to level the playing field in whatever particular reason, then this letter of recommendation can serve as your extra boost, kind of help level the playing field. It can really speak to who you are, and it can really speak about other people's experience with you, so that will maybe sway the decision of the decision maker. Recommendation letters sometimes can be the difference on whether or not you get whatever it is you are trying to go after, whether you get it or not. So definitely it is necessary, and it is something that you definitely want to consider having as you go forward. Question number 2 is what should be in recommendation letters? These recommendation letters that I need, what should be in the recommendation letters? Well, there is no necessarily right or wrong, but my recommendation is for the person that is writing the letter for you to mention how long they have known you. How many years have they known you, and in what capacity have they known you? Is this person your supervisor, a previous supervisor? Did you work together? Were you maybe in graduate school together? Were you in a professional organization? Was this person a client of yours? Whatever that relationship is, you want to make sure that you mention it. And it's very important for them to talk about their experience with you, as I mentioned before. They want to talk about what they observed about you or what they know to be true about you. What are the skills that you have shown them? What are the qualifications? Your work ethic, your leadership skills, how you showed up every day, how you managed projects, how you dealt with customers, how you were in, in your classroom setting, whatever it was. They want to make sure that they talk about that. And if they can, they want to try to give some relevant examples. If they know that you are maybe applying for a project management position and they've seen you be a project manager, then they maybe want to give an example of a project that you managed, what the project entailed, and how you were a good leader or manager of that project. Ultimately, they're trying to let the person reading it know how you would be a good fit for whatever it is you're going after. Based on their experience with you, based on what they have observed, based on what they've seen and what they know to be true, this person would be a good fit for your job. This person will be a good fit for your graduate school program. This person will be a good fit for your board membership program, okay? So whenever someone is writing these recommendation letters, they always want to talk about how you would ultimately be a good fit. And you can request that the person write the letter from a particular angle. you can request that the person write the letter from a particular angle. So if you know you are applying for something in particular, you can ask the person to write about a particular skill set. We've already talked about project management. Maybe they want, maybe you're going for a job where you need to do a lot of public speaking. So maybe you want them to talk about that. Maybe there's a position, or maybe there's something where you're going to have to interface with the public a lot. So maybe they want to talk about your public relations and how you are, being the face of an organization, or the face of something, the first point of contact. Whatever it is, you can have people write recommendation letters from different angles. It's perfectly okay for them to do that. And whenever they write the letter, you don't want the letter to be unnecessarily too long. You want them to just basically touch on the key points that are necessary. And then you want it to be about 3/4 of a page to 1 page. 3/4 of a page to 1 page should suffice for them to be able to talk about their experience with you and how you are a good fit. So make sure the letter is not unnecessarily too long. All right. And of course, they're going to give their contact information. So the person reading it, if they need to, can follow back up with them and can get more information and ask questions if they need to. Okay. So number 3, the third recommendation letter frequently asked question that I have received is, who should you get to write the recommendation letter for you? Who is a good person that I should get to write recommendation letters for me? And I've kind of touched on that. You can get your supervisor to write it. You can have a coworker write it. You can have a mentor. The pastor of your church can write it. If you're in any kind of organization, the leader, maybe the vice president or the president of the organization can write it. If you did any kind of volunteer work, the person that was over that volunteer work can write it. Your instructors can write it, your classmates, anybody who can do what I said in number 2, speak about your skills, your qualifications, your work ethic, you've been a leader. Anybody that can speak favorably about their experience with you is someone who is qualified to write the letter of recommendation. And I normally recommend that the person writing the letter is someone that has known you for about a year. Someone who's known you for about a year, which is enough time to be able to gauge, how you are, right? Now, of course, there are some exceptions. If you are someone that maybe volunteered for a project, for a couple of months, and that may not be the case. Or if you were a contractor, maybe you worked on a project for 6 months or something like that, and it wasn't a year of involvement, then of course that's an exception to the rule, right? But typically I would say if someone has known you for at least about a year, then they would be a good person to write the letter of recommendation for you. All right, so question number 4. Question number 4 is, how many recommendation letters do I need? How many recommendation letters do I need? And typically I say 3. You want to have at least 3 letters of recommendation, because most of the time, whenever you are applying for a job in particular, they're going to ask for 3 references. That's pretty much the standard. So that's why I say 3. Have 3 letters of recommendation. And if you can, get them from people from a different aspect. Don't have all 3 supervisors write your letter. Don't have all 3 clients write your letter. Maybe 1 might be from a supervisor, 1 might be from a previous client, and then maybe 1 may be from a coworker, right? So 3 different people writing from 3 different aspects. So that shows how you are in the workplace, maybe how you are in the community, how you are in a classroom setting or something like that. If you can, get 3 different people from 3 different aspects to write about their experience about you, and then hopefully there should be a running theme. All of these 3 different people writing from different aspects should still talk about your professionalism. They should still talk about how you are, with your time management. They should still talk about how you are when you are interfacing with the public. There should be a running theme with all 3 of these different people writing letters about you. Okay, so 3 different people, preferably from 3 different aspects. Okay, number 5. The number 5 question is, when should I give someone my recommendation letters? When is the best time to give someone your recommendation letters? Well, there's a number of different ways you can do this. You can submit a letter of recommendation right up front whenever you are submitting your resume, if you'd like. A lot of times, whenever you go on to different platforms and you are uploading your resume, they will give you room for additional documents where you can upload a cover letter, a letter of recommendation, sometimes, your transcript and all these different things. So right up front, when you are submitting your letter of recommendation, when you are submitting your resume, you can go ahead and submit the letter of recommendation, particularly if you need to level the playing field, like I talked about before. If you are applying for a job and you know you maybe are switching industries and you need some people to speak well of you so you can move into this other industry, then I would use it for that. If there's something where maybe, you just maybe feel like you don't quite have enough experience, but there are people who are able to talk about the experience that you do have, and that's the way you need to level the playing field, I would recommend that you submit the letter of recommendation right up front, right when they get your resume, okay? You can also submit the letter of recommendation when the interview is winding down. Once you have already gotten an interview and it's winding down towards the end and they're kind of, asking you what questions you have and maybe talking about next steps, before you leave them, before the interview is over, before you walk out the door, you may want to just give them letters of recommendation. And you can just simply say, I brought some letters of recommendation for you today, to take a look at, and I'm sure that it will, speak to my professionalism and just kind of give you a little bit more information about me. So you can do that right in the interview, okay? And then also when you're following up after the interview is over and you are submitting your thank you letter within 24 hours, you're sending an email to them thanking them, you can always attach your letter of recommendation then and use the same verbiage that I just said. It's just to give more information. It will speak highly of me. Here's some letters of recommendation that previous supervisors and my peers, here's some letters where they have spoken highly of me. You can just include that as an attachment in your follow-up, okay? And then, if you're trying to even follow up after a networking event or a meeting, anywhere where you need to follow up and kind of give an extra boost so you can kind of get to the next step, that's when you can submit it, okay? And then certainly if you are trying to gain the new business of a potential client, maybe you're trying to get business of a client or you're trying to form a partnership with someone and they want letters of recommendation from other people who've done business with you, other people who have interacted with you, a letter of recommendation may be good in those instances as well, okay? So anytime when you feel you need an extra boost, you want a good first impression, you want to remind somebody of who you are and see what other people are saying about you, all of those are appropriate times to include a letter of recommendation. All right, question number 6. When and how should I ask for letters of recommendation? When should I ask for a letter of recommendation from somebody, and then how do I do this? Well, I recommend that you ask for letters of recommendation now. I recommend that you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. You want to always, always, always have letters of recommendation in your back pocket, right? Because people are busy and you don't want to ask somebody for a letter of recommendation and think they have, they can write it in a 2 or 3 day turnaround time, because the person that you're asking to write the letter is probably busy. They have a lot of other things going on. And I can guarantee your letter of recommendation probably isn't going to be at the top of the pile. It's not going to be their priority. So you want to give them a week or so to be able to write it, make any changes, and things of that nature. So I recommend that you write letters of recommendation that you request letters of recommendation before you even need them. Go ahead and ask for them now while you're not even necessarily looking for a job, while you're not even trying to get a board position, while you're not even trying to, get membership into an organization. Go ahead and get them now so there's no pressure, right? You can really think about who you want to ask. You can let them know what angle you want them to write it from, and you can give them plenty of time to write the perfect letter, okay? So with me personally, probably about once every 18 months or so, I go through and assess my letters of recommendation. I go through and look at the ones that I have and sometimes go back to those same people and maybe, ask them to update it, or maybe simply ask them if I can just change the date. You wrote a letter of recommendation for me 1.5 years ago. I want to use it again. Is it okay for me just to, change the date on it or something like that, right? But about every 18 months, I go through and assess my letters of recommendation and see, do I want to keep them or do I need some new ones? Right? Because you don't want letters of recommendation from 7 or 8 years ago, because that may kind of draw a little bit of a red flag, kind of raise an eyebrow of, okay, why is this person not having more up-to-date letters? So about 18 months is pretty much the rule of thumb that we can use, okay? So when you are asking someone to write these letters of recommendation for you, make sure you give them a reason. Make sure you let them know the reason for the letter. And it could be simply, I'm applying for a job. I just want the letters of recommendation just to have, just because I just want to have them in my back pocket. I'm seeking membership into an organization and I need somebody in the community to speak about me, or maybe I'm seeking a board member position, or I just want some letters of recommendation for future clients. I want the letters of recommendation to put on my online portfolio. I want to put them on my LinkedIn page. Whatever the reason is, let the person know what the reason is. And if you are seeking a particular position, then give them a copy of the position so they can kind of know, you know, be able to put everything into context as to what they are writing it for, what they're submitting it for, so they can keep all of that in mind when they are writing it, okay? And then make sure you keep them abreast. You know, if you are using this letter of recommendation for something in particular, keep them abreast of what's going on. I got to step 1 in the job interview process. You can be expecting a call, somebody may be calling you. Or I got membership into this organization, you know, thank you so much. You know, they really said your letter was well written or something like that. Give people an update and keep people abreast, and make sure you are giving them a copy of your resume if you're submitting it for a career, so they can kind of know the totality of who you are in your work experience, right? And then definitely always let them know if they can be expecting a call, so that they can be prepared and ready to speak highly of you. All right, and then the last question that I've been asked several times when it comes to recommendation letters is, are the endorsements on LinkedIn the same as letters of recommendation? Basically, whenever I get an endorsement on LinkedIn, will that suffice as a recommendation? And the short answer to that is yes. In today's job market, in today's workplace, the LinkedIn profile is very highly looked at and something highly respected. And a lot of times people will look at your LinkedIn profile before they ever even call you in for an interview, or even if when it comes to anything else, people will look you up on LinkedIn first thing. And they're going to look at your profile and they're going to take that into consideration. And so if you have 5 or 6 people that have recommended you on LinkedIn, that really can pretty much suffice. But then I would also, just to be on the safe side, particularly when we talked about leveling the playing field, I would maybe get those same people to go ahead and put it in writing and give me a formal letter as well. Pick at least maybe 3 people to still give me a letter in writing so I can have that as well. So yeah, you can use the LinkedIn endorsements as your letter of recommendation, definitely for that first impression where they're going to be looking at your profile. But pick maybe 3 people to still have them give you a formal letter so you can submit it in writing as you are going through whatever process you were going through. Okay, so those have been the 7 frequently asked questions that I have gotten over the years with recommendation letters. And I hope this was helpful for you and gave you a little bit more insight. And I am someone, as a career coach, I provide recommendation letter templates for people. So if you need a letter of recommendation for yourself, and you maybe want to come up with a rough draft to send to someone and just have them sign it, because again, remember I talked about people are busy. And sometimes people will ask you, just write the letter and then I'll just sign it. You may hear that. You very well may hear that. And so if you're someone that needs a recommendation letter template that you want to kind of write up for yourself, I have those. Or if you are someone and you have been asked to write a letter of recommendation for someone else, I have those as well. So no matter what end of the spectrum you're on, you are the person requesting or you are the person that has been requested, I have templates for you with an instructional guide. You can very easily fill in the information no matter what the situation is. No matter if you're a supervisor, if you're a client, if you're someone in the community, if you're a pastor at someone's church, if you are a classmate, whatever the situation is, I have templates where you can readily do that. So if you'll look in the description for this video, you will see the link where you can go through and download your templates and you can fill them in very quickly, very easily, and very conveniently. Okay, so that has been this week's edition of From Dina's Desk. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being here. And like I said, share this information. Share this information and let people know I'm live every Tuesday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have any topics you'd like for me to address, be sure and let me know. I welcome all suggestions. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day and a great week. Bye-bye.